Hey y'all, welcome to episode 47 of the Stay Home Son podcast. And today we have a very interesting episode, an episode that a lot of people have been hitting me up wanting us to do. And honestly, an episode that I was looking forward to doing because I've been very following this story, very interested in this film, and I got the chance to talk about it. So, Thomas, no further introduction, man. I'm just gonna say it. Today we're reviewing New Lie. It's all the rage right now. So, Thomas, you want to start with some initial thoughts? Let's get into it.
Well, I thought it was I thought it was an interesting film. I really liked one of my favorite things is like the deeper meaning of the film with the mother and son bonding. Because like one of my favorite scenes is when the baby when the child, I guess the baby cow, if you want to call it, gets bitten by a snake and then the mother's immediately taking care of him while telling him playing with the snake was pretty much a dumb decision. So I really liked it. It's like that kind of film, like we follow like a mother and her two baby calves as they go on like these crazy adventures pretty much. It was a very interesting movie.
Yeah, no, and I honestly like people can laugh about like the production quality, and we'll get into all that stuff and like the sound quality and stuff, but like story wise, it was pretty solid. I mean, it was kind of like an Ice Age kind of plot, like a group of people go out, like an unlikely group, like with the bird and the two cows and cows, and they go out and like basically migrate. So story wise, it was pretty tight. I thought the villains were interesting, the snake. I was kind of dying laughing when that snake came on screen though, because like that was hilarious, man. Because they definitely like how it slithered on the grass was pretty funny. But the story and structure was very solid. And I think the highlight of the movie was definitely that relationship between the mother and son. And what makes that so beautiful is that this film was actually made by a mother and son team. They went to school to learn how to do this together as like a production, and they learned how to animate and stuff. And they did it for $200. And you know how much this film made, Thomas? You know how much this film made?
How much to make?
$2 million, bro. $2 million. It has grossed $2 million. And I guess today what we're going to get into is why we think it's been so successful. Because I have my theories. Because an unorthodox film like this, you wouldn't expect it to make that kind of money. But one of the things I will say about the film is the mother and son relationship is really beautiful. I like the scene where they're crossing the river, and she basically says life is like, when you're making life, it's one new thing at a time. It's not like you don't just do one thing and your life's set. It's like you cross this river now and you'll cross an ocean the next day. It's like you keep building up. And each time you build up, it's like new things that you have to face fears for. And he was like, okay, I got to jump this river to get away from the snake. But he learned a valuable lesson like, hey, life is about making these little you have these circumstances and they bring that fear out of you, but you overcome that. And then over time, as you do that enough, you have a adult, fully fledged life. So I thought that was a very beautiful message. And the fact that this was a daughter and a son and, I can't speak, a son and mother film, it really was beautiful and it shows in the film.
And you know, and I think the story is like one of the main reasons why this film is like so successful because it's like something that's relatable. Because like everybody goes around and asks like, why is it that despite its it's kind of like production value being so kind of low and like it it being like a very low budget, why is it so successful? And I think that's one of the main reasons why.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the story is something people can get behind. And I really think people like the humble beginnings of this film, how that was a really small team of a actual son and wife. Not son and wife. I can't say that they think right. Son and mother. And I think that was really cool. I think people really enjoy that connection. But one thing I will say is a lot of people, and I want to see what you have to say about this, Thomas. A lot of people say that this film is really popular right now because it does show that it was made by a human with all this AI films nowadays and everyone making like AI versions of animation because it's hit animation harder than anything. Like narrative feature used to have to have human actors and stuff. And we reviewed films that had AI actors and we saw how that still has a way to go. But AI has definitely caught up when it comes to like animation and stuff. So I think people enjoyed this film because you could definitely see that it was made by a human.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. Also, I think it's kind of like they're kind of saying like also like it's so bad it's good kind of thing, like almost like the craze with like The Room back in like 2017. I always remember that.
Yeah, I
So
remember
it's
that
like it's
dude.
kind of along those lines.
Imagine we had the podcast in 2017 when that was a thing. But something I was thinking about why this film's popular because I've been spending like a good few days really kind of borderline obsessing over this film just because of how interesting I find the story and honestly how inspiring I found the story. But I don't think it's just AI. This is like the people like this film so much because it's obviously made by people and it's not AI. What I think is over time, even before AI brought it to a head, we almost had such a perfection of animation, such a perfection of art, and such like a commercialization of it that even things that were made by a team of real people, it felt like it wasn't because it was so perfectly crafted and it was so edited well and it was so animated perfectly. So in a weird way, it was so good and it took all these great, very talented people and it put them together and exploited so much of their talent to make these products that we've been having for the past 10, 20 years that in a weird way it took the human element away from that. So AI kind of ramped it up because it gave us an objective like, okay, this wasn't made by human. We need things made by human. But I think the reason that people are so against AI, like in filmmaking, is because even before AI, filmmaking got so perfected and it sawed off all the rough edges of it that people were kind of already craving a more human element. And then when AI came, it just gave them an excuse to say what they really wanted to say. So, I mean, even 20 years ago, if this film was made by like an actual full-fledged studio, I don't think it would do that good. I don't think it would do that good. Not because it's not a good story, but because people seen everything like this before, man. People have seen all these great animations and all these great things together. I mean, I was watching Toy Story 5, I think a few no, not Toy Story 5, Toy Story 4. I was rewatching Toy Story 4, and they had this animation scene of like the rain coming down while Mo Beep is like getting picked up by a new owner or something like that. And it looks so greatly animated. And I can appreciate the talent that goes into doing that. But like if you do that so much, it's almost like it doesn't feel like a human made it. It feels like it's too perfect for a human to make it. Because it honestly, when you have this many people working on something, you kind of do lose the human element because it almost becomes a product of its own, you know? So I think this film really resonated with people because for the first time in a long, long time, people have saw a film that is 1,000% do it yourself, made at home type film. And I think that really resonates with people because I think people are really yearning right now for accessibility and relatability because I feel like that's something we haven't had for a long time, even before AI. That's the big secret. I think people have been wanting this kind of stuff even before AI became a thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm honestly craving more like that human element too, because like once you type something into AI, it's like, okay, well, you came up with the idea, but like AI did most of the work. So it's like,
Yeah, there's something about this film, man. I'm very excited about it. I think this is a really inspiring thing, as an independent filmmaker, as we both are, seeing something on that low of a budget level, making this much money and this much waves is always an inspiring story. Because, when people tell me like, oh, dude, this film made like $500 million, like Obsession, like people are like going crazy over Obsession right now. Yeah, it made $500 million, but you know how much money they put into it? I think they put like 750,000 into it. Like I get that. That's a small budget, a small budget for the grand scheme of filmmaking. But like for an everyday filmmaker, like all the people we talk to and ourselves included, we never would be able to put that kind of money into a film anytime soon. So like when I hear a $750,000 film made money, I don't feel that motivated because I'm like, that money's still a long way away from going to us and the people in the indie world. But when I hear a $200 movie like this made $2 million, now that's something that hits close to home. So I mean, I know people are kind of comparing Obsession to New Lai a little bit because it's kind of like the two big movies right now. One's like a super Hollywood blockbuster smash now, and the other one's like this really small Chinese independent animated film that just randomly pop it off. But when it comes to what inspires me more, man, I'm telling you, this film inspires me more than anything I've seen in a long time, just because of how I can just tell that every little part of it was made by a human. Every little part of it was really well thought out, and every little part of it they gave it their all, and it really shows. And you know what? The fact that the money's following that's just super inspiring because that's always my thing, man. You work hard and the money will follow, and this film backs me up on that.
you know, what I almost feel like too. I almost feel like we're following the mother and son as if they're like separate characters as we're making this film, because it's like almost like the cows or the bull or whatever it is like almost like the actual mother and son.
Yeah, isn't that kind of right? It's like we really feel that connection that they have. Like after watching this film, because it's so human based and it's such like an honest film, I feel like I know the mother and son in real life, you know? Because like that's them. Like this is showing their connection that they have. Like that's what this movie was inspired by. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, Thomas, you got any other interesting things you noticed about the movie that you want to talk about? Good, bad, I don't know.
I think a couple other things I just want to mention is I like how he kind of met his father at the end. That kind of makes the movie come full circle. So I really like that scene at the end. And then also everybody in the theater I noticed at the end was laughing at the end of it, and they said in the comments the reason why they're laughing is because it says mother and son at the end of all the credits, which was pretty funny.
See, man, like that's what I love. That's what I love about indie filmmaking. Because even on our film, dude, like Payne's Branch and The Big Appalachia, if you look at the credits, bro, it literally just says Jake and Thomas on like pretty much everything. You know, like that's just I love that. I love that. And the fact that this film, I mean, people can hate on this film, people can say what they want, but if you're an indie filmmaker, and I mean like a truly indie filmmaker, not like you're getting 700,000 to $1 million to make a film. Yeah, you're independent, but you have big money backing you. I'm talking like you work two jobs. One of them's filmmaking, the other one's like a 9 to 5 job, and you're taking the money that you have and putting it into your film. This is a huge win for us. This film is a huge win for our community, and we should support it, we should share it, and we should be inspired by it, And we could laugh at it, we could have some discourse about it, because I don't get me wrong, when that snake bit the cow and he started screaming like "Mom!" I lost it, bro. That killed me. That was hilarious. But you know what? It made me laugh. And however you can get a laugh out of someone, even if it's from like kind of like wonky production style, they did their job. It made me laugh. A Hollywood blockbuster with millions of dollars could have done a scene like that. I probably wouldn't have laughed because it wouldn't have looked like that. So a low budget film only has the ability to get people to laugh like that. So this is a win for the community, man. This is a big win for the community.
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this film, and I think I definitely recommend it. And I can see why it's so popular in the independent film market right now.
Yeah, and Thomas, I guess I got one final question, man. Would you ever think about doing animation, Stay at Home Sons animation?
Wow, I mean, I don't know, because it did take them 5 years to make this film, so it would require a lot of patience.
Yeah, it would. I've always liked like claymation, like where they make like the clay figures. During college one time during the winter when we were getting snowed in, I got bored, so I bought like a bunch of claymation stuff and I tried to animate like this little Play-Doh parrot thing I made and it was so bad. It was so bad. But I definitely have always liked claymation. That's something I wouldn't mind getting into. And especially
And the
now
last
it's
thing I'll say about that
yeah.
is like if you mess up one frame, you have to start all over. So imagine making like spending 4.5 years on this film or whatever, and then you mess up one scene, you gotta start all over again.
Dude, imagine like how I showed you the doc and for the first time. Like, imagine you saw something wrong with it, but we spent like 4 years on it. Like, oh yeah, Jake, we got to go back. It's like, well, here comes another 4 years. Yeah, dude, it's a nightmare. I got respect for anyone that makes animation. That's the other thing about this film. People can say, oh, it looks bad. I would like to see the people who say it looks bad try to animate that. I really would. I would like to see them try to animate what they just saw in this film because it's harder to do than you think. Like even to get that quality takes years without a lot of money. So every one thing I'll tell to people in life is everything's harder than you think it is. Like don't go and say, "Oh, that's easy. I could do it." It's like if you're not doing it, it's harder than you think it is. But yeah, Thomas, really cool episode. This is kind of the first time that I've kind of rode the hype train on something, I guess, because we've always been kind of doing it our own way. But I always said, like, with this channel, y'all, I wasn't gonna ride hype train. Like, we never talked about Obsession because I wasn't inspired by it. I didn't enjoy the film. So that's why we never mentioned it. So it's not like we're gonna do this all the time where we find something that's hype and talk about it. But if I find something that's hype that I also feel like I connect with and Thomas can connect with and our audience will, I'll always talk about it. So I just want to let y'all know that don't think we're selling out by doing this. This is a film that legitimately inspired both of us. But yeah, Thomas, you want to do the honors?
And remember, stay at home.
You got it.